Jedi Knight Rojin's story. Rojin was a male Jedi Knight who was born on the planet Alderaan 5 years after the Galactic Empire was formed. He was the son of the Jedi Knight Taral, who was also from Alderaan. Rojin belonged to a long line of family of Jedi Knights who go back to 4,500 years. Rojin's father, Taron, he was a Jedi Knight that part of the old Jedi Order. When he was young, he returned back to Alderaan to settle some small minor conflict, but when he encountered a young woman, he fell in love. He knows the rules of the Order not to become romantic involved, but his feeling for her couldn't be stopped. So he decided to leave the Order and move back home to Alderaan to start a family. By the time he became more part of the politics, but also part of the local community. But then, after he found out the Empire was formed, and that the Emperor Palpatine has declared hunting down all the Jedi's as the traitors of the Republic, he knew that he would be found out someday, so he decided to leave the capital to move out on the countryside with his family. But one day, he and his wife had a son. They named him Rojin. And surprisingly enough, Tyrone discovered that his son was force sensitive like him. But when Rojin was about 3 years old, Tyrone and his wife decided to leave Alderaan. But they didn't have any spaceship, and among the community they lived with, there were also others force-sensitive children and families also had either a father or grandfather and uncle who was also part of the Jedi Order who left. So they decided to leave Alderaan, to live somewhere in the galaxy which they couldn't be hunted down. So a large group of settlers from Alderaan left. About 40 ships with 600 people on board traveled from Alderaan to a new unknown destination where they could be safe. And their destination took them to the unknown regions. And surprisingly enough, they found one planet which they could settle down. But when they found out this planet was actually inhabited by Alderaanians, apparently a large group of Alderaanians left Alderaan thousands of years ago, just before even the Galactic Republic was even formed. And Rojin was now safe from the Galactic Empire. When he was about 7 years old, his father trained him to be a Jedi Knight. But the time when he was about 7, his father started to wonder if they would even be safe there. So he had also a lot of friends back home. He wanted to try to visit them and maybe take with them some back. So when Rojin was about 8, they traveled back to Alderaan, and he stayed there for about 2 years. But then they moved back to the new homeworld known as Alderaan 2. Unfortunately for Rojin, even he was now a Padawan to his own father, but his father died when they were about over off-world from the homeworld. So Rojin never had completed his training, but he was taught by this basic knowledge of the Jedi. And his father had taken to some secret Jedi temples and other outposts that has been forgotten by the Empire. And he often still travels to them to learn more about the Jedi traditions and ways and their fighting skills. Even his mother tried to force him to abandon the Jedi life and be a normal, maybe focus his life to be a politics or even a farmer like his father chose to be after he left the order. But Rojin decided not to. So Rojin took a ship with at least 10 more of his friends. They traveled around the galaxy and they traveled back to Aldrin. And they were there for about a short time. And after they returned to their new home, soon they found out that Aldrin was destroyed by the Galactic Empire. And now they heard about there were only 60,000 survivors from Aldrin. But unfortunately, it wasn't. On New Aldrin 2, it was about 7 billion people of Aldrinian descent. Rojin over the next few years trying to train, and he even helped the rebellion from time to time with his to smuggle some supplies and troops over the borders. But he was never caught, and even he was force sensitive. He trained and trained to be a Jedi. Even his father didn't know. And he one day landed on the planet Tatooine and found Ben Kenobi, or Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he recognized him as the Jedi Master, and he asked him if he could train him to complete his training. But Obi-Wan said no. But he taught him about some of new basics, but he said he couldn't be the trainer anymore. So Rojin was disappointed, so he left Tatooine and tried to find another survivor Jedi. But unfortunately, because of the Great Purge of the galaxy, a lot of Jedi's who survived either abandoned their lifestyles as a Jedi or went hidden. And so to find a Jedi Knight or a Jedi Master who is still alive would be almost impossible for him, because he only met only 2 Jedi Masters in his life, Ben Kenobi and his own father. Even there were a few other Jedi Knights on Alderaan too, but he couldn't. They had abandoned their lifestyle long ago, and they didn't want to teach any others. But they promised to at least keep on the stories then about Jedi Knight. But then, 11 years later, after the first battle, 11 years after the first battle, Death Star was destroyed. Rojin was about in the galaxy traveling around when he heard of the rumors about one Jedi Knight called Luke Skywalker had started a new Jedi Academy on Yavin 4. So he traveled there and he asked Luke Skywalker to train him and complete his training. Luke then discovered that he was a Jedi Knight's son and accepted his proposal to train him. So for the next several years, Rojin trained with his new master, Luke. And after some time, he even became a Jedi Knight himself. And over the last many years, he had several apprentices. Some of them were named Kateria, Solis Natov, and Kelida. Domar became also Jedi Master of the New Jedi Order several years later. But even this, Rojin didn't thought about settle down with the family, and even he was a Jedi Knight. But then, it was a new conflict in the galaxy. Yuzong Wang arrived in the galaxy and started to spread chaos. Rojin became member of one elite strike force, along with Anakin Skywalker and Jason Solo, or Anakin's Solo, but he called him Skywalker after his grandfather. And they fought against this new enemy and defeated it. And after this battle was over, Rojin decided to not return back to New Jedi Order. He was still a member, but he decided to travel around the galaxy to help, to heal others, which Luke Skywalker accepted. So he and a few other Jedi Knights spread around the galaxy to help to restore the New Republic and even help other worlds from healing and rebuilding after this war. At some point of his life, Rojin became married with another fellow Jedi Knight named, well, his former apprentice, Solis Natov. And they had at least many children, about 5 of them. And he even became a Jedi Master to them as well. Even he had taken a lot of many apprentices and Padawans over the next many years, but he remained a strong member of the new Jedi Order. Even he didn't ever become a rose to Jedi Master. He was offered to become a Jedi Master, but he declined it. Even he would be more respect as the Jedi Master, but he decided to be just a Jedi Knight. And he wanted to keep on his family tradition as a Jedi Knight, since it has been his family for almost 4,500 years. And he wanted to keep it as the tradition of his family. And over the next 50 or 60 years, Rojin became still part of the active member of the new Jedi Order. Even many times many people had tried to defeat and destroy the new order, but he always fought against the enemy and brought back the peace that they all wanted. But then, after many years, Rojin decided to leave the order, to settle down, because he became older and he had not the same physical strength anymore. And then, at the age of 205, Rojin fell asleep on his new homeworld, Alderaan II, surrounded by some of his old apprentices and many of his family members. Even if with his old age, Rojin was considered as one of the most greatest Jedi Knights who ever lived in the New Order, and became remembered as one of the greatest heroes who fought in the Yuzong Wang War and against many others. His name was carved into a monument on New Alderaan, or Alderaan II, where many of the Alderaanians who survived at so long age, and even who fought against the Republic's forces against evil. And that's how Jedi Knight Rojin lived his life and fought for the New Republic. The end.